So we started looking into aircrafts. We have seen that there are different categories of aircrafts, such as combat aircrafts, airborne early warning and control, shortly known as AWACS, reconnaissance, electronic warfare kinds of aircrafts, tanker for refueling the for the purpose of transport. You can use uh, a kind of aircraft. So that would be another category of the aircrafts. Helicopters, variety of helicopters you'll be finding out. In fact, each of these categories further being divided into its subcategories. Then for the purpose of training the pilots, you will be having a kind of aircrafts. So they are called as the trainer aircraft, unmanned aerial vehicle, shortly known as UAV. In these days, it is getting popular. So that kind of uh, aircraft. And the last category of the aircrafts is of historical aircrafts. So the aircrafts which have been played a very great role in any of the operation, and now they are you can consider retired from the active services from Indian Air Force, but still they are the part of Indian Air Force, maybe a museum or maybe for the purpose of showcasing some of the outstanding tasks performed by these. So such kind of aircrafts called historical aircraft. So these many different aircrafts you can have, and as I said, each of these aircrafts is being further divided into its categories. So let's see the very first one, that is combat aircraft, which is also called as fighter aircraft. So in fighter aircraft, here you can have at least these many different aircrafts, which are fighter aircrafts or the frontline fighter aircrafts of Indian Air Force. So name of aircraft, its origin, its type, and its variant. Right? So these are the four different things which are always related to each of these aircraft. So Rafale, Sukhoi, MiG29, HAL Tejas, Mirage 2000, Sepcat, Jaguar, and MiG21. So Rafale is from France, Sukhoi Sukhoi MiG29 MiG21 are from Russia. HAL Tejas is our own development. Mirage is from again France, and Jaguar, particularly Sepcat Jaguar, is from United Kingdom. So what kind of these aircrafts? So Rafale, Sukhoi, MiG29, HAL, Tejas, and Mirage 2000, all are the multi-role aircrafts, right? So what you can understand for multi-role? Multi-role, that can be, it may go for reconnaissance, it may support ground forces, right? It may have ability to air strike, let's say ground strike, right? Now sometime you can have from water to air kind of, or water to let's say ground kind of attack as well, right? So and many more. So such kind of roles are in a same aircraft, that is called as the uh, multi-role kind of aircrafts. Fine. Please, someone's mic is unmuted. Will you just make it mute, please? Then Jaguar for ground attack and MiG-21 for interceptor. And these are their variants. Fine. So that is what you can consider. That means what? The basic series, you can consider here the basic series is Sukhoi Su30. But right now, whatever we are using, that is actually Sukhoi 30 MKI. So what is difference between this one and this one? So here you can understand that now this one is having certain kinds of improvements rather than Sukhoi Su30. And the same is applied for MiG29 UPG, right? In fact, one more we are having, one more variant we are having, that is MiG29K. So that is being used by Indian Navy, right? Basically, it is a series of MiG29. The same is for HL Tejas, right? Where you can have Mark 1, Mark 2 kind of different versions, right? So this is what the variant is. Fine. So very first one we can we have considered, and that is nothing but the Rafale. So some of the points you can consider about the Rafale, right? So very first point, that is nothing but the Rafale is a gust of wind and a burst of fire. So it is developed as a modern jet fighter with a very high level of agility by Dassault Aviation of the France. Right. So it has two engines. Its canard is wing is of multi-role fighter aircraft equipped with a wide range of weapons. Right. Canard, that's the tail, safety. Right. So tail. It is intended to perform air supremacy. You can consider the interdiction, aerial reconnaissance, right? The ground support, in-depth strike, anti-ship strike, and nuclear deterrence missions as well. So these are its features, right? Rather, you can consider the important features of Rafale. Right? Again, it is referred to as an omni-role aircraft. Right? Development of this particular one is, so there was a thought about the requirement of a future European fighter aircraft, and for that purpose, four different countries along with France have made an agreement, but unfortunately it could not last long to develop or till the development of any kind of such a future European fighter aircraft. And then France decided to go at their own, and they have developed at their own the planned aircraft, that is nothing but the Rafale, right? So at the time of having a idea of development, right, or the requirement of developing such a kind of aircraft, so at that time you need to consider these points. So there it should be having air to air or air to ground all day, right? Adverse weather operations, and so on. So likewise, all these requirements were there, and they wanted to have a kind of aircraft which should be fulfilling all these conditions, right? And then they have come up with a very smart one, that is nothing but the Rafale, right? So I said that we have a deal of 36 Rafales with the France. Out of these 36, 5 have been received in July 2020. Uh, Next 3 have received in November 2020, and 3 more received in January 2021. So till now we have received 11, right? So 25 more to receive, probably before end of December 2021, right? So that is what the deal of the Rafale you can consider. But at this moment you can consider earlier, uh,
Yes.
the government in 2010-12, it have a deal of receiving 126 Rafales. So that was the original deal, fine. But later on now it has changed, and only 36 will be received. But in this case, a transmission of uh, technology is also involved in it. Transmission of technology, they will give their prototype design material, right? All kinds of raw material, even with the experts of manufacturing such a aircraft, and they will be manufacturing it with the India's Indian government recommended agency, right? So that would be the particular case. So there have been so many different tragedies. So Hindustan Aeronautics Limited (HAL) is having more than 60 years of experience in manufacturing, maintaining, designing such kinds of aircrafts, rather fighter aircrafts. But unfortunately, I don't know, in this deal, HAL is not involved. So there had been the name of Reliance, who would be uh, involving in the development of these aircrafts. So that could be the probably uh, the partner in technology transfer and manufacturing of remaining aircrafts for Indian Air Force. Yeah, good question that Ayush has asked. Why did they change the number to drastically lower number of Rafales? It's very unfortunate thing, but uh, this is the era where you cannot ask such kinds of questions, and that is what the fear of asking a question. And this is very true fact, right? I'm not exaggerating in any sense, right? I'm just trying to put this particular situation. So those who will questioning such kind of questions, then you will be uh, will be called as the personality against the country, and you will not having a, rather you will be considered as a person without nationalism, right? So at all in this, there is no answer of your question, but this is the answer of your question, and this is the reality, right? So I don't know exactly what had been happened at that level, but it is true that 120 deal of 126 Rafales have reduced to only 36 Rafales, right? And one more point. So at that time, the deal was done in 593 crores per Rafale, and now whatever the Rafales we are receiving, so its deal is around 1600 crore per Rafale. So again, nobody knows what had been happened in the 4 years that a Rafale or an aircraft of 593 crores, how a Rafale of 593 crores become of 1600 crores, right? I'm talking about single Rafale, right? And I don't know, Bagade is asking what is his name, first name, with DRDO. Unfortunately, is not, right? So DRDO is not involved in this one, right? So that is the reason. No agency of government who is having experience rather huge experience in this particular field is involved in developing these Rafales, right? So at this moment, don't pay attention to these tragedies. These things will be happening in the countries. Fine. So our task is to get understand the importance of such kinds of aircrafts and how they are strengthening our air force, right? That should be your approach. Okay, so this was the very first landing on the Ambala Air Force Station, right? Which, as I said, which was in July 2020, right? On same days, another view. Fine. So you can see this could be the another angle of Rafale, right? So what I was talking, so this is the canard. So you can see it almost it is having no shell, right? So this would be the view of Rafale, right? You can consider. So it is having two, the crew of two, right? So crew of two. So there are two personnels, right? In fact, you can consider two pilots, right? So that is again one of the characteristics of any of the aircraft, not only for Rafale. Fine. There are so many different characteristics which you can find out about this particular smart man, right, of Indian Air Force. And these were the that particular characteristics. Technically, whatever you can consider each of these particular point. But as I said, if someone is really having a kind of interest, then and then go for this. Otherwise, if you could not pay attention, then it can be again okay, right? So, but one thing you can understand in this one, that what sort of armaments, right? What sort of uh, different equipments it can be able to launch, that you should know, because ultimately that is what the strength of your aircraft, right? So you should know the strength. Fine. No doubt there are different categories: general characteristics, armament, performance, nuclear, avionics, some other characteristics, and nuclear deterrence, right? So these are the different categories, different characteristics. Okay, that is what the first uh, fighter aircraft we have considered. Now next one is Sukhoi, right? As I said, Sukhoi Su30 MKI. So though you know the Sukhoi series, right, but currently we are using Sukhoi 30 MKI. So whatever we do have, right, right now, that is the Su30 MKI. Fine. So prior to Rafale, it was considered as the superiority fighter, right, with some additional capabilities to conduct air ground missions by Indian Air Force, right? And that was really a smart guy in the Indian Air Force, which was developed by Russia's Sukhoi Aviation, right? And it was built under India's Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, right? HAL. It was first accepted in Air Force by 2002, but it entered in the services of Indian Air Force by 2004. As like Rafale's first deal was get done in 2000. In fact, deal started in 2012, but 2020 have come up to receive its services for Indian Air Force. It has a speed of around 2120 kilometer per hour, right? And it changes, as you know, at at different altitudes. There are some other related aircrafts, right? You can consider, though they are not being used by Indian Air Force, but these are the some of the other aircraft from Sukhoi series which are being used by the air forces across the globe. Right? वेगवेगळ्या देशाचे एअरफोर्स वेगवेगळी सुखोई यूज करतात, राईट. पण सगळ्यांचा प्रोव्हायडर मात्र रशियाचा, राईट. सो in international market, right, the Sukhoi series is being sell at different prices with different versions, right. So as like HL Hindustan, HL Tejas, right, which is completely Indian manufactured, right from its designing to the final version. So now we have brought it into international market, so we are also ready to sell it in the international market, so that we can get huge amount of we can generate huge amount of revenue through that particular selling. Fine. Again, as like Rafale, it is a twin jet multi-role air superiority fighter, right? A variant of Sukhoi Su30, right? Whatever Su30 MKI we are using, it is a variant of Sukhoi 30, and it's a heavy all-weather long-range fighter. So around 3,000 kilometers it can go in a single fueling, right? एकदा tank भरली तर 3,000 kilometers, and no doubt we can refuel it. It is tailor-made for Indian specifications. So again, Sukhoi 30 MKI was not as today we are using, right? So further it has been tailor-made, right? त्याच्यात काही changes केले as per the suggestions by Indian Air Force, right? And integrated some Indian systems and avionics, and that is the beauty you can consider, right, of manufacturing through the transfer of technology in India. म्हणजे हे भारतात बनल्यामुळे याच्यामध्ये काही इंडियन सिस्टम्स इंटिग्रेट करता आल्या, राईट. इंडियन स्पेसिफिकेशन्स इनकॉर्पोरेट करता आले, as well as French and Israeli subsystems, right. लक्षात ठेवा, yesterday I said that in any of the aircraft, four things are always necessary, right. So what kind of cockpit it is having, what kind of avionics systems it incorporate, what kind of electronics it will be having, and what sort of specifications it will incorporate. So these are the four specifications through the point of view of structure, right. Structure, what kind of material is being used to manufacture, right. That means what kind of alloys, what kind of steel, what kind of aluminum, right, or what kind of other materials which are being used for manufacturing such a aircraft, right. Then what sort of radar you are using, what sort of different electronic systems you are using. So that are called different structural specifications. So these are the four important points through the point of view of manufacturing of any kind of aircraft. Fine. So tailor made is important. Tailor made, आपण बऱ्याचदा कपडा नेऊन देतो टेलर कडे आणि अतिशय छानशी शर्ट पॅन्ट शिवली जाते, राईट. सो दॅट इज व्हॉट टेलर मेड, बरोबर की नाही. म्हणजे आपल्या मोठ्या भावाला शिवलेले कपडे आपण घातले तर आपण कसं, will it be fit? No, right. So it is not a kind of appropriate or the suitable thing you can consider. Fine. Shubham is asking, sir, it has a speciality of year refueling, but for which? Okay, 38, 37. Okay, that means this is for Sukhoi. Yeah. So yes, year refueling is really a speciality of the aircrafts. And as I said, Rafale is having that specialty. Sukhoi Su30 MKI is having that specialty. HAL Tejas is having that specialty, right? So at this moment, I can at least tell about these three fighter aircrafts which are being used in Indian Air Force are having a specialty of air refueling, right? But again, you will be requiring a tanker to refuel these aircrafts. So for that purpose, again, we are having two kinds of such tankers, right, in the form of aircrafts. Fine. Okay. Shortly, we will be coming to these aircrafts maybe in next sessions. So yeah, this is the point you can consider. So Indian Air Force had ordered 272 aircrafts. I'm talking about Sukhoi 30 MKI, right? So out of which 50 had been delivered in 2002 to 2004, right, and 2007. So there had been two steps, right, till 2007, wherein we received 50 aircrafts, and the remaining 222 aircrafts have to be manufactured in India through HAL, right? So under a license of transfer of technology, right, with the help of Indian facilities. And you will not believe that right now we have all these aircrafts in service, right? So we have ended this particular project of manufacturing 272 aircrafts. Rather, we have gone for next level, and by 2024-25 we will be having 360 Sukhoi 30 MKI aircrafts, right? And manufacturing of that particular aircrafts in India with the help of HAL is going on. No doubt there are some improvements which are being made in this, right? I'm saying that apart from these 272 plus 45 in Indian Navy, right, a few more are being planned to manufacture by 2025, right, 2025. So 72 in I there are 72. Indian Navy is having 45, right? So that we will be again seeing it. So Sukhoi 30 MKI. So how does it look, right? Okay, I think you'll have to wait for one more slide probably. So as I said, so Sukhoi 30 is a different thing, right? And now Sukhoi 30 MKI is the improved version of the same series. So what kind of improvements which you will be finding out in this, right? So these improvements, it has upgraded radar system, onboard computers is there, electronic warfare systems, right? Ability to carry out BrahMos cruise missile, right? And in this particular category, in this particular feature, Sukhoi 30 MKI is superior than Rafale as well, because Rafale is not having ability to launch BrahMos cruise oil, right? In fact, Sukhoi 30 MKI is having capability of launching BrahMos, right? And BrahMos is one of the world's dangerous missile, right, which we have developed in a joint venture of India and Russia, right? So that is what the beauty of Sukhoi 30 MKI, right? That is launching BrahMos. I'm talking about upgradation in radar, in the electronic systems. In short, you can consider avionics, right? In electronic warfare system, and then ability of using a missile or the latest missile that is in the form of BrahMos. So already I said 3,000 kilometers is its range, right, with the internal fuel, right? And that will ensure 3.75 hour combat mission, right? So जवळजवळ 4.5 तास it will have the combat mission, right? Then again also has in-flight refueling probe, right? Okay, you can take a barrel of fuel within the same aircraft. Again, but obviously it will be having a limitation. You cannot full its tank. Then air refueling system, which will increase its flight duration, right, which will be up to 10 hours. So you can consider 3.7 hours, 3.75 hours to 10 hours. And the range of it from 3,000 kilometer can go to 8,000 kilometers, right? So this is what the superiority you can consider. And if you consider all these things, then who will deny that this is not a superior aircraft in any of the air force, right? So this is the factor which is always making difference. Fine. And now you can see this. So this is the cruise, right, which you can see, and you can have so many such kinds of squadrons in India. So how many here? 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Probably 10 aircrafts you can see, right, in this particular squadron, right here. Now, these are the Sukhois, right? Whatever we are using. Fine. Now, this is one of the aerial view
Hello.
of. Again, here you can see, right? So its crew is of 2. So there are 2 pilots or 2
Hello, sir.
trained experts you can consider. Now you can see its structure is different than Rafale, right? So here little bit tail you can consider. So it's canard, right? No doubt, each and every canard is having its own specialty, right? So again, you can see its cockpit is also having some difference, right? So structurally, again, you can see, right, it is somewhat different than Rafale. Fine. So that is what you can consider. At this moment, don't consider about the colors. So colors are unique, right? To certain extent, colors are unique, and that are always being decided by Indian Air Force. So any kind of aircraft may be available in the same color, right? So this is the color of Indian Air Force you can consider. So this is your roundel, right? This is your roundel. This kind of flag, in fact, it is not called exactly flag. It is having another name. Okay, let me remind about this one. I will recall it. What exactly it is called? Fine. Yeah, having a rest on the air base. So another view you can consider of Sukhoi 30 MKI. Fine. Yes. So this is the first landing of Sukhoi 30 MKI, right? So you can go long back in 2004, right? So when it was first landed in on the Indian soil, so first landing of Sukhoi 30 MKI. So obviously, at that time it was not Sukhoi 30 MKI. Keep in mind, right? Probably it was Sukhoi 30, right? So this is what the Sukhoi 30 you can consider. And over the years from 2004 to 2019, right? There had been some not 2019, exactly 2017, right? In fact, there had been so many different things. Okay, I will tell you what had been happened, right? So as we received these aircrafts, then in 2007-8 there had been crash of 6 Sukhois in Russia, right? Not in India, but the aircrafts crashed in Russia were of the same family, right, as we received. So Indian government conveyed the concern over the crash of these aircrafts, and then the Russian government placed a committee, right, and that experts have investigated the crash. So they came to know that there had been no technical fault, or there had been no human error. Rather, there was error in the structure. So whatever the material is being used structurally to manufacture, right, and there had been cracks to its canard, राईट. सो हा जो पाठीमागचा शेफ्टीकरचा भाग आहे, देर हॅड बीन क्रॅक्स, तिकडे काही क्रॅक पाहायला भेटले. अँड देन इंडियन गव्हर्नमेंट again had another concern that then what would be happening with our Sukhois. So we wanted to recall them, right? So you can take them back and you can change structurally these things. Then the Russian government had also accepted that, right? And then they recalled the latest batch, which was having the fault in structure, and then they have gone for the further improvements, right? So change in material and all sort of things have been incorporated in the subsequent improvements. And likewise, there had been some improvements. Then in 2012, we felt another feature must be added in it. So another feature added in it. In 2012, we felt that no, certain more features must be added in it. Further features have been added in it, right? नंतरची एक सोय होती. नंतर याचं सगळं मॅन्युफॅक्चरिंग हे भारतातच होत होतं. सो जे काही IAF ला वाटलं इंडियन स्पेसिफिकेशन्स इनकॉर्पोरेट करावे, राईट, त्यांनी फक्त ते समोर ठेवले. रशियन टेक्निशियन्स किंवा एक्सपर्ट्स किंवा टेक्नॉलॉजी ट्रान्सफर आहे, दे हॅव जस्ट सीन दॅट की ते कन्व्हिनियंट आहे नाहीये. अँड वन्स दे got through this one, right? त्यांना वाटलं की yes, it is convenient, they have incorporated it, right? So this is the version. You can this is a prototype in one of the what you can consider DRDO's what we can consider it is the every year there are some such kinds of openings for the common man, right? So where the prototypes of all the missiles and new developments are always being kept there, right? So that the common man will come to know, right, about the strength and the developments, right, of this particular agency. So I was talking about one speciality, that is the BrahMos, right? Launching BrahMos through the Sukhoi. So this is a prototype which will launch the BrahMos, right? So you can see here there is one missile, another missile, another missile, another missile, another missile, right? So here you can have different kinds of missiles. So this is a prototype, right? Probably in this kind of here in this kind of say what you can consider aircraft, you cannot see here, right? So इथे तुम्हाला दिसते कुठे मिसाईल, इकडे दिसते कुठे, right? But it is always there, you can consider. So this is a prototype where you can come across the different kinds of missiles, right? So this was a prototype. These were some of the characteristics, general characteristics, performance, right? So speed 2120 km/h, as we said, right? That is again at the different altitudes, speed will different. Range 3000 kilometers, right? So you can consider ferry range, that is how much you can go beyond, right? So after refueling, right? So that is particularly in the air refueling you can consider. So 8000 kilometers. Fine. Armament, guns, then rockets, missiles, that to be again further air to air or air to surface, right? Anti-ship, anti-radiation, right? So these are the you can anti-radiation, nuclear deterrence you can consider. These are the different kinds of missiles you will be having. Then bombs and some other features, right? And avionics. So these are altogether its characteristics which are really important. And now by considering all these kinds of characteristics, you will come to know that how much superior it is and how much important it is for any kind of Air Force, not only for Indian Air Force, right? As a strengthening of their Air Force is concerned, right? So this is what you can have altogether in the characteristics of Sukhoi. Fine. Now next one is MiG-21, MiG-29. MiG-20 will come later on, right? MiG-29. So what it is? Again, it is a twin engine dedicated air superiority jet fighter, right? आता तुम्ही म्हणाले सगळीकडे ऑलमोस्ट सगळीकडे जेट एअर सुपेरिटी दिसतंय, राईट? सो एअर सुपेरिटी, so whenever you are buying it, at that time you have always bought a superiority, air superiority, right? So over the periods you can consider, now MiG-21 we are going to retire by the end of this particular year, maybe in 2020, in 2022 you will not see the services of MiG-21, right? They have been put years, fine. So MiG-21 have also played a very great role, right, in strengthening IF, right? So Rafale पण कधीतरी retire होणारच आहे. Something new will come up, who knows, right? So that would be the technology development. So it was developed by MkII Design Bureau as an air superiority fighter, right, in order to counter new United States fighters. So these were the different fighters by United States, and these has to be countered. So for that purpose, the Russia was thinking to develop such a kind of aircraft, right? And it was given to a MkII Design Bureau, right? So it was developed by them, right? So that is what you can consider as the developmental history of MiG-29, right? So keep in mind Dassault, next one is, first one is Dassault, next one is aviations, come on. So first one is Dassault, next one is Sukhoi, now is MkII, right?
MkII.
Yeah. So these are the different aviations or the bureaus or the developmental agencies involved in developing these aircrafts, right? So that you should always remember. So MiG-29 entered into the services of Air Force, right? Obviously of Russian Air Force in 1982, right? So in the same era, we have started our space program, right? We have further started our aircraft development program, right? And at the same time, we were looking into purchasing such kind of aircraft so that we can strengthen our air force, right? So in 80s, India was the first customer, international customer of MiG-29, right? म्हणजे त्यांनी त्यांच्या एअर फोर्स मध्ये ते सर्व्हिस देण्या अगोदर we have a contract, right? We have a great deal with the Russian government in which we decided to buy some aircrafts, right? And also a Russian government agreed to provide these aircrafts to Indian Air Force, right? So that is what you can consider another historical point. It has a maximum speed about 2400 km/h, right? There had been again different kinds of aircrafts of the same series. So MiG-29K, MiG-29M, MiG-35. So MiG-29K we are using, right? That is in Indian Navy, right? So it is a dedicated air superiority fighter. Okay, I think some points have been repeated. Upgradation. So how it has been upgraded? So very first one, whatever we received or whatever we thought was MiG-29, then it was what you can consider improved, called MiG-29, yes, it was further improved. Oh, I forgot here to write 29. So MiG-29 KS, right? And right now MiG-29 UPG, right? So we are having this kind of particular aircraft, right? Instead of only having MiG-29, right? MiG-29 UPG, right? That is, you can consider some of others in the series are these. Fine. So you can have a look about this one, right? Yes, in this view you can now consider. So here this is a missile you can consider, right? So MiG-29 resting at a air base in at one of the Aero India. So Aero India is the show, right, of Indian Air Force, and everywhere every year such kinds of air shows are being arranged, right? Not only by the aircrafts of IF, but also aircrafts of some other countries will come to India, right? So in 2012 there had been a kind of year show called MMCRA, right? So पुढे तुम्ही ह्या हे सगळे इयर शोज वगैरे राईट ते तुम्हाला येईलच. सो there had been, I'm talking about 2012 such kind of year show where Rafale had come, right, to show its strength. So first time IF or the Indians have seen it, the strength of Rafale, and then that particular deal subsequently had been carried out, right? आपण असं कुठेतरी एका एअर शो मध्ये त्याची सगळी कपॅबिलिटी, स्ट्रेंथ, स्पेसिफिकेशन्स सगळं पाहिलं होतं, राईट? सो ते दॅट वॉज द about Rafale, right? So likewise, yeah, this is the aerial view of you can consider. See, again you can see structurally it is different, right? Completely different than Sukhoi 30 MKI and Rafale, right? You can see it, right? So another view, right? What I told UPG. So this is the recent improved MiG-29, right? Which is having extension MiG-29 UPG, right? So patrolling in the Himalayas, right? So a beautiful picture of patrolling these aircrafts in Himalayas, right? So UPG, right? In fact, this was a picture of exercise, right? So एक improvement होऊन आल्यानंतर it must be tested in all the conditions. So that is what you can consider, right? Otherwise तुम्ही म्हणाल मग पेट्रोलिंग साठी दोन असे एकामागे एक हे एअरक्राफ्ट पाठवण्याची काय गरज आहे? ऑब्वियसली that was exercise, right? Okay, yeah, this is the another version what I said Indian Navy is being using, right? So again Sukhoi 30 MKI, or it is particularly, sorry, MiG-29 K, right? So that is UPG, this is K, right? MiG-29 K, MiG-29 UPG. Fine.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, time.
Yeah. Yes, I'm running out of time. I will.
Sir, and sir, in the chat, sir, some of the students asked some questions, I think.
Yes, every question have been answered.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So this is what the novel version, right? Indian novel version of MiG-29, right? Okay, I will come back to this one tomorrow. So I will stop here. Okay, anything which you would like to ask? Okay, if nothing is there, let's stop here.
Okay, Weber.
No, sir. No doubt.
Okay, Vaibhav, I will watch.
Shantanu,